China, Zhongguo, the Middle Kingdom. For over 2 millennia, it stood as a titan of civilization, the heart of a vast empire claiming dominion over all under heaven, home to world-changing inventions like paper, printing, and gunpowder, and governed by emperors with a divine mandate. By the 19th century, under the Manchu-led Qing Dynasty, China encompassed nearly 15 million square kilometers and was home to around 450 million people, a staggering 1/3 of the entire world's population. Its wealth was estimated to be 1/3 of the global total. Cities like Peking, Nanking, and Canton were among the world's greatest. Governed by Confucian principles emphasizing harmony and order, overseen by scholarly bureaucrats chosen through rigorous exams, China seemed eternal, self-sufficient. Foreign merchants were restricted, confined mostly to the port of Canton. But this splendid isolation couldn't last. The world was changing rapidly, and China, bound by tradition, was starting to fall behind. This set the stage for what China would later call its century of humiliation. It began in 1839. For years, British merchants had illegally smuggled opium from India into China, creating a devastating addiction crisis. When Qing officials finally seized and destroyed the drug, Britain responded with overwhelming military force. Their modern navy crushed the outdated Chinese fleet. The result? The Treaty of Nanking in 1842, the first of the Unequal Treaties. China was forced to open 5 ports to British trade, cede Hong Kong, and grant special rights to foreigners. Soon, France, the USA, and Russia exploited China's weakness, seizing territory and demanding similar concessions. Compounding the ice, the external pressure was internal catastrophe. The Taiping Rebellion, a brutal civil war lasting 14 years, ravaged southern and central China. The estimated death toll? A horrifying 40 million people, one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. Then, in 1895, a modernized Japan, long considered inferior, easily defeated China, seizing more territory. Western powers openly mocked China as the sick man of Asia. The giant had seemingly fallen prey to foreign imperialism. But resentment simmered. By 1899, the Society of Righteous and Harmonious Fists, the Boxers, emerged. Fueled by outrage against foreign influence, the spread of Christianity, and the Qing's weakness, their goal was simple: expel all foreigners. They attacked railways, missionaries, and Chinese converts. In June 1900, they besieged the foreigns, or quarter in Peking. In a disastrous miscalculation, the ruling Empress Dowager Cixi threw the Qing state's support behind the Boxers, declaring war on the foreign powers. The response was swift and brutal. A 20,000-strong 8-nation alliance crushed the Boxers, looted Peking, and committed widespread atrocities. The resulting Boxer Protocol forced China to pay crippling indemnities over 40 years, an amount nearly double the government's entire annual revenue. It was the ultimate humiliation. This disaster finally spurred real change. The Qing court launched sweeping reforms. The ancient civil service exam was abolished, replaced by modern schools. A constitution limiting the emperor's power was planned. The military, especially the Northern Beiyang Army under General Yuan Shikai, was modernized along Western lines. But for many, these reforms were too little, too late. Revolutionaries, like Sun Yat-sen, argued that only overthrowing the monarchy could save China. Educated abroad, a Christian convert, Sun founded the Tongmenghui in Tokyo in 1905, aiming to establish a democratic republic based on his 3 principles: nationalism, democracy, and the people's livelihood. The Qing dynasty was weaker than ever. Empress Cixi died in 1908, leaving the throne to the 2-year-old Pu Yi. Then, on October 9, 1911, an accidental bomb explosion by revolutionaries in Hankow triggered the Wuchang Uprising. Crucially, new army soldiers mutinied and joined the revolt. The revolution spread like wildfire. Within 6 weeks, 16 provinces had declared independence from the Qing. Chaos erupted, with massacres of the ruling Manchu in some areas. Tibet and Outer Mongolia declared independence. On January 1, 1912, in Nanking, the Republic of China was proclaimed with Sun Yat-sen as provisional president. Reforms were passed, abolishing symbols of Manchu rule like the Q hairstyle. But the Republic only controlled the south, while Yuan Shikai's Beiyang army held the north. To unite the country, Sun made a deal. He offered the presidency to Yuan Shikai if Yuan could persuade the emperor to abdicate. Yuan agreed. On February 12, 1912, the 6-year-old Emperor Puyi abdicated, ending over 2,000 years of imperial rule in China. Yuan Shikai became president, but his ambition quickly clashed with the Revolutionaries, now reorganized as the Kuomintang, KMT. The KMT won China's first ever national elections, but their likely premier, Song Jiaoren, was assassinated, likely on Yuan's orders. Yuan crushed a subsequent KMT revolt, outlawed the party, and established himself as a military dictator. Yuan died just 3 years later, plunging China back into chaos. The Warlord Era, where rival generals and their armies tore the country apart. Yet, the revolution had unleashed powerful new ideas. The new culture movement, led by figures like Chen Duxiu, called for a total rejection of Confucianism, embracing democracy, science, and social change. Among their followers at Peking University was a young man named Mao Zedong. National outrage exploded again during the May 4th movement in 1919. Chinese anger over the Treaty of Versailles, which gave former German territories in China to Japan instead of returning them, fueled massive student protests. This event intensified Chinese nationalism, but also led many, disillusioned with Western democracy, to look towards Marxism, inspired by Russia's 1917 revolution. In July 1921, just 13 delegates, including Mao Zedong, met secretly in Shanghai and on a boat on South Lake to found the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, with Chen Duxiu as its first leader. By this time, Sun Yat-sen's KMT had established a rival, government in Canton. Facing the fragmented Warlord Era, both the KMT and the fledgling CCP saw a common enemy. In 1923, backed by the Soviet Union, they formed the First United Front. Communists joined the KMT, which received Soviet funds and advisors. A military academy was established at Whampoa, headed by Sun's protege, Chiang Kai-shek, to build a unified fighting force. But in March 1925, Sun Yat-sen died of cancer. His final words, "Peace, struggle, save China." His death left the KMT in disarray and China at a crossroads. Chiang Kai-shek saw his opportunity, believing control of the army was the key to controlling the country. The last emperor was gone, but China remained fragmented, facing internal division and the looming threat of foreign powers. The stage was set for a new, protracted struggle for the soul of China. A struggle that would pit Chiang Kai-shek's nationalists against Mao Zedong's communists, even as external enemies gathered. What happened next? The rise of Chiang Kai-shek, the northern expedition against the warlords, the brutal KMT-CCP split, and Mao's legendary Long March. All while Japan prepared to plunge China back into an age of humiliation. We'll explore that in our next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching Epic History Bites.